Welcome to the channel for the first time viewers. Welcome back from my existing subscribers. Today I'm going to go over 10 mistakes that I make while in Rainbow Six Siege that I kind of want to fix for 2019. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you had a great holiday season so far. So let's start with number one. So number one is I often peek from cover. I go too far. And I think a lot of people can attest to this. Like you kind of, if you're not using the walk function on PC, you will tend to peek a little too far from cover and make yourself an easy target to get headshot easily. And even on console, you might try to do like a quick peek, but you're already outside of cover, and then all you do is just lean a little further out than you really wanted to, end up getting killed. So I want to kind of work on that. Number two is pushing at the wrong time, and what I mean by that is sometimes I'm just, I just time it wrong, and a lot of it has to do with just your understanding of the game overall. And I have a pretty good understanding, but sometimes, I just get a little over anxious and I just mistime certain things. So I want to get better at my timing when I decide to push. Number three is not second guessing myself. A lot of times I'll run out there and instead of just being ultra aggressive, I'll kind of second guess my decision to push, and that will kind of make me fall back and sometimes lose the gunfight, sometimes not approach it as aggressively as I should, which will put me at a disadvantage. Whereas in Siege, if you can play confidently and play aggressively, then usually 9 times out of 10, unless you meet your match as far as somebody that's just more skilled than you, you'll win the gunfight. But sometimes you just want to stay alive and make the right play for your team, and you overthink it, and you pretty much think yourselves out of a winning situation. So I want to stop overthinking and second guessing myself. Number four is going through the motions. I'm going to stop doing that because I found myself, after having a couple bad games the other night, I was trying to debate what I could do a little bit differently. And once I started breaking down how I died, I noticed that I wasn't fully paying attention to the game. I was kind of just going through the motions, putting up the reinforcements, hoping somebody would run through, my line of sight and I'd get an easy kill. But I wasn't actually playing smart, and I wasn't actually putting a lot of thought into the game. And that just pretty much drew the comparison to going through the motions for me. So that's one thing I want to stop doing, because I feel like I can control a lot more of the games where things don't go my way if I start paying more attention. Number five is playing with a loud background. Sometimes I tend to play Siege when my wife and kid are awake, and sometimes there's dinner being cooked and toys being hit on the ground in the background, and it just makes it a little harder for me to concentrate. And I think that leads a little bit towards going through the motions, because you can't really fully focus. So I want to be able to just break it down and play more of my ranked games, especially on my main account, in a quieter setting, so mostly at night. I think a mistake that a lot of us make is playing while we're tired, and that is just something that, again, breaks down your ability to focus, and over the longer stretch of time, and how tired you are, or how many days in a row you've pretty much gone without a good night's rest. That can impact your performance, and I think it happens to me. Like when I get home from work and I do want to make some content, then I get on the PC and I don't play my best, and that just ends up being a rough night. So it's like one of those things where it's coming from a good place, but I'm not really preparing properly, so it's not turning out the way I want. So not playing when tired is definitely gonna be one thing that I work on in the future. This one here, number 7, is one of the silliest mistakes that I've made in the past. And that's just simply turning on the PC or turning on the Xbox or PlayStation and hopping straight into a game without warming up. So usually it takes you a round or two of, getting into gunfights before you start to warm up. Some people could do it automatically, but I can't. It takes me a couple rounds of gunfights to get warmed up and get acquainted to the speed of the game. Even though I'm very familiar with the game, it's just one of those things where you can't really hop into it cold, and I've done that in the past, which has cost me a couple of rounds, and I'm just trying to nullify everything that cost me unnecessary losses. So that's going to be one thing that I try to nip in the bud this year. Much like number 6, number 8 is playing past my time. It's not the same as playing tired. It's just when you have lost so many games and things just aren't getting better for you, and you kind of just keep on going, or you go on a good win streak and you don't really call it a night. Like you kind of just keep going. Sometimes it's like one of those things where you're just like, all right, well, I'm on a roll, so let me keep it going. But then eventually you lose a couple games, and then everything you did the night before or earlier in the night kind of gets negated, because you kind of play past your prime or play past your time. So you might have won like 3 games straight, and then you finish the night losing your next 2 or losing 4, you know, and then you ended up in a worse situation than when you started the night, but the night started off pretty good. So playing when everybody's at like full attention and, you know, ready to rock and roll, tip-top condition, I think is something that I want to work on. As far as being able to scale it back and turn it off maybe after like 3 or 4 wins for the night, instead of just going down into the 4 or 5 game road where some of them start off well and then you just finish up losing, and it's just like it negates everything you did, and it's just like taking 2 steps forward to take 3 steps back. So that's what I mean by playing ahead of my time. Number 9 is a common mistake that I make a lot, and that is not droning. So it's just one of those things that I have to get better at, you know what I mean? Because once you get to the higher levels, you get punished for not droning. And I feel like this is me droning sometimes. Like I send out my drone, and I feel like I could be doing more meaningful work in the round by just playing the character and just getting out there and letting somebody else drone. But I feel like a lot of players have the same exact feeling. So there ends up being nobody that's droning anyone else in. Unless you have a very organized team and you're already in the upper ranks, then usually you'll have that person or those 2 people that will drone in your entry fraggers. But other than that, like when you're playing solo queue or if you just play with your buddies, unless somebody determines that you're going to be that role, usually for me, I end up just not droning at all. So that cost me a ton of kills, just running into like traps and just silly things like that. The 10th and final thing that I want to work on as far as mistakes that I make is just not having good clock management. Waiting too long to push in general. It's similar to earlier in the video where I kind of touch base on certain aspects of that, specifically just pushing at the wrong time. But just waiting too long to push on attacking where 30 seconds are left and we're still not even near objective. And then on defending, just not using the time properly as far as approaching somebody when it's a 1v1 situation and the bomb's across the room and they still have to go across to pick it up, but instead you get into the actual engagement versus just taking cover and holding an angle it gives you an absolute advantage. Something that you can't lose the gunfight. You go out and you try to be aggressive and stop them from getting to the bomb when all you have to do is just play smart and use the time to your advantage. I need to get better at that. So anything else that I may have missed, you guys go ahead and add some things that you want to change in 2019 down in the comment section. We can go and have a discussion down there and be easy. I'll catch you in the next video. Hopefully for those of you that look up to me as maybe a source of getting better at Siege, you can see kind of what I'm working on getting better at and use that as kind of like a framework. But like I said, if it's something that you're working on and maybe I have that same opportunity, we can grow together. You guys be easy.